welcome everyone. So again, we're together for Keep Calm and Connect, the networking event with a twist of mindset. And the way we bring mindset to the table is of course for our conversation and our connection, but also with this conversation with our special guest. So welcome Jacky, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Would you like to introduce yourself to start with? What would you like to say?
Yeah, of course. For those of you that don't know me, we haven't met before, my name is Jacky Stansfield-Smith. It's a bit of a mouthful. Didn't want to be a Smith. And I'm here really to talk about my new venture and how things are going with that, and to really talk around that and hopefully be able to share some of my experiences that you'll all find useful.
Excellent. Yeah. So tell us about, I love what you shared to me about your journey of how you came to doing that actually, and maybe what you were doing previously, and sort of the natural, it felt like a natural transition, although it's a big change, but I love the meaning that it has, and the power of that meaning I think is very important.
Great. Yeah, well, really if I could take you back to about a year ago now, in March 2024, life was just as it had been for kind of years previous to that, really. I'd been with the organisation that I was with around 12 years. I'd been CEO for about 6 years by that point. It was great. There was a lot of travelling involved. The business that we turned it around. It was successful. It was growing, and I was as busy as ever. I have always done voluntary work. I sit on a couple of boards in a voluntary capacity. Was doing a qualification as well. Just sort of a busy life that I'd always had, but there was still something. I don't really know what it was. It's kind of a bit of dissatisfaction with something professionally. I wasn't sure what it was. There was something just not making me feel very fulfilled at work. And I sort of thought, maybe it's just a phase. I'm going to work through this. Don't do anything rash. Not in your mid-50s when you've got to this point in your career that you've been aspiring to for so long. But that's what it felt like. I'd got there, and then now what?
Yes.
But I didn't want to do anything impulsive, so I sort of sat with that for a month or two, and just kept this niggly feeling of, right, what is it? And it wasn't till I was away on holiday with some girlfriends that we go away every June, and I just said it out loud. I think I'm going to leave work. And it was kind of, what do you mean? What do you mean? I said, all I'm sort of thinking about is my pension and how long have I got left to go till I can retire. I thought, and that isn't right.
That's not me. No.
I've got plenty of oomph left, and and this just isn't right. So I think I'm going to leave, and I'm just going to find what I'm going to do next. Just going to gently approach that, decide what I'm going to do next. So, but I kept that to myself and these close friends, because I think they just thought I was not going to do it. Just this isn't going to happen. I kept that to me for a few months until the summer, and really what happened was I was stood in the kitchen. Everything was all right. I mean, nothing disastrous was happening. I was still happy with work, still doing a lot of the travelling and stuff. I was stood in our kitchen. We just moved. It was in July. It had taken us 7 months to move. We sold the house in January. It had been, one of those difficult times. It's never easy to move house. And our youngest son was sitting there. I'm sorry, because I think I've told you this story before. We're sitting there, and he doesn't really talk very much, not to me anyway. He usually got his hood over his head and he's eating away. And I'd said to him, "Oh, do you want one of your special desserts?" And he said, "Oh yeah, please," because he thinks it's this fantastic restaurant type dessert. And what it is a crushed up meringue. Has to be a Marx's meringue. Tin of mandarins can be any brand, that's not specific, and a bit of squirty cream, and if he's lucky, a little bit of chocolate on the top. Takes all of 60 seconds. It's fabulous. He said, "Oh, is face lights up. I mean, he's 17, nearly 18 now. His face lights up, and it's just fabulous. I could do nothing better for him than this special dessert. And I jokingly said to him, "Oh, this is what you're going to remember me for when I'm gone," which is kind of the sort of humour I was brought up with. You know, it sounds a bit grim saying it out loud, but it's just the sort of humour we have. And Jacob said, no, I'll remember you for saving me." And I said, "From what?" He said, "From that school." And I thought, oh, right. And I just sort of stood, and that's when I realised, that's when I knew what the term light bulb moment meant.
Yeah.
Because it really was like a light of something pointing the way. And all of these things that I've been doing, the sort of voluntary work, all the reading and the qualifications I was doing around neurodivergent people, all came into one place because Jacob is neurodivergent. He has autism and ADHD.
Yeah.
And it just all kind of aligned, and I thought, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And he finished his dessert, went off, didn't speak to me for another couple of days. But he did those words, because that's what happened in lockdown. Jacob didn't ever go back to school after lockdown. We found an alternative provision for him, and from that moment on he flourished, because he was miserable at school.
Yeah.
It was difficult for him, like it is for many neurodivergent children. You know, it's a difficult time, they're scarred by it, and that continues through life with the trauma they've had. So he didn't ever go back to school after that. He's at college, he's thriving, he absolutely loves it. So, yes, so last year, from that point till the end of the year, well, from that point, I did tell everybody, I told the shareholders at the business that I was going to leave, and that they didn't need a CEO, that I would work with the 3 senior managers, and they could run the business. And I spent from then till the end of the year gently exiting that business, because that felt the right thing to do, and working on a framework that I've created that other businesses can adopt, implement this framework, and make their workplaces inclusive, particularly around neurodiversity. So,
it really gave me shivers when you talked about that light bulb.
My dessert.
Yes.
Is that what
because
you
I want to do them. And also your experience of that light bulb moment, and that I sense a bit of a shock as well.
That's it.
I wasn't expecting that such a powerful message in sort of that jokey moment that we were spending together. And I love how your new venture, your new business, how it's connecting the personal side of things. So I feel like it's really connecting a lot of dots for you. So all your experience, corporate world, knowing how to run a business, your experience as a CEO, your experience as a manager, and how to look at HR, to look at employees, your strategy thinking about running a business, as well as on a more personal level, how to help individuals who are different, who are unique. And neurodivergent is a word for it now, to recognize that uniqueness, but at the end of the day, that's all it is, isn't it? And helping your son and going through those different things, which I'm sure had been challenging, not only for you but for him too, and bringing that all together and going, how can I find the crosswords of all these skills, and the meaning? For me, that's where the pure meaning is, of bringing all of that together. And stepping up to something more, something ambitious, something also a bit scary, but it feels like it's really a sweet spot of potential. And your full potential is always what's going to have the most impact on others. How does that sound when you hear me saying all these things?
You're right, because at first it was just this German of an idea. You're right, of, okay, I could develop this framework with the experience that I've got, you're right, in the corporate world, that would bring everything together within this framework. Businesses could take this on board and implement it, and I can help them with that. But then from that, it was, or could develop qualifications around that, workshops around that, online membership where individuals can learn about the framework, and then take that into their workplace.
Yes.
But yes, you're right, it was sort of this convergence of everything able to come together in one place, and then me be able to share that.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's been really exciting.
And that's how you bring change, isn't it? Like, it might sound like it's just one new business, but for me it's really planting seeds and really looking at how can I have that changing impact more and more. And something that the conversation we've had together that I'd love to hear more about, and I think loads of people would really benefit from that. Can you tell me how it's actually a win-win? It's not only a win for the company to have and to look into being more inclusive, as well as a win for the employees.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
So I have lots of interesting conversations with employers, and I'll sort of say to them, what is it that you do? And so, well, I help you work with your workforce and really get the best out of them, because if they're able to thrive and function well,
Yes.
they're going to stay for a start. You're going to get the best out of them.
Right.
If you're able to spot what they're good at, support them in that, they're going to be fantastic employees. And not only that, you can start attracting the right people to your business. So attracting them, make sure that your interview process is really inclusive and you're not excluding people at that stage, and then your onboarding and retention's there, because you really do need these neurodivergent people working for you. And not only do you need that creativity and that outside the box thinking and that enthusiasm, but and studies show that around 30% of society are neurodivergent in some way. If you employ more than 4 or 5 people, you're going to have neurodivergent people working for you. And whether you're aware of it or not. So are you helping them thrive and be the best they can be? Because what you could be doing is thinking you're doing a great job about being inclusive, but actually these people are spending all day just trying to fit in. If their brain's spending all day just trying to fit in, how are they able to do really well at the job that you've asked them to do? And if they're worried about a meeting that you've planned at 4 o'clock but not told them what it's about, or if they're worried that they were a little bit late this morning and their desk's messy, it becomes this overriding thought. It's preventing them from doing what you're paying them to do. Whereas if they know it's fine that their desk's a bit messy and the meeting at 4 o'clock is actually a really positive performance review, you don't need to worry about it, then you're getting what you're paying them to do. So they're enjoying it. Your business is likely more profitable, more productive, a happier place to work. So it's very much a win-win. All through implementing some really straightforward and often inexpensive changes.
Exactly. Yeah, it's looking at the processes, looking at the culture, things like that, and that's where you can really bring your insights. And I love the fact that you've also not only just sort of created this new whole business, but also thought about the NeuroNorth Forum that's happening soon, the 20th of March, to help, again, spread awareness, isn't it?
That's right, that's right. So thinking about how I was going to launch the business and really let as many people as I could know about what was happening, I really had to sort of tap into a network that's already going on, people interested in being more inclusive, and HR managers and leaders wanting to know how they can make their workplaces more inclusive. And I thought it could be a good idea to create a conference where people come and learn how to do that. A really exciting conference with a range of speakers who are bringing their different experiences, either as employers, neurodivergent themselves. One of the ladies we've got speaking, she's a late diagnosed, she got a late diagnosis of ADHD, so that's really interesting. So employers and people that come along and do workshops around creative thinking, so that'd be really good. And it's proved to be a really good success, that people are really interested in coming along for those 4 hours, knowing that they'll take something away from that they can then implement at work.
So not only the awareness, so the understanding, with people bringing their own experience to the table, as well as solutions, ideas of what things can.
That's right. It should really sort of open people's eyes to the experience of an employer and an employee from both sides. Especially because, if you think about that 30%, it's quite likely then throughout your working life that you've worked for someone that's neurodivergent as well. So it's not just about managing people that are neurodivergent, that have autism, ADHD, dyslexia, etc. It could be that you're working for somebody that's neurodivergent, and that's a whole different experience as well. Understanding that and making that dynamic work again is something that you can learn about and make sure that you're thriving in that situation as well.
Absolutely. Now again, I really love the change that you bring to the world, and that mission is absolutely beautiful. I'd love to know more about you and your mindset breakthroughs. Of course, we've got one light bulb moment that you've already shared, but it sounds like you've been, super busy. You've done so much in your career. Where did you find that strength? And do you remember other light bulb moments like that helped you build that resilience over time?
I do. I think there is an impulsivity, which I'm not sure where that comes from.
Yeah.
And there's a work ethic, which I know comes from my parents. My dad is 83 and he still works full time.
Does he?
He does, yes. So, but his work, Dad's work, I probably didn't know what he did till I was in my 20s. He's at work, and then his home life was very much around us and the family.
Yes.
It didn't impact in any way. And I really like that he really did have that, that nirvana of work-life balance. And he still has it, even though he's 83. So, yeah, and but then I did always know I wanted to do something different.
Yes.
So at 17 I did sign up and join the military, which was a really quite unusual thing to do for a 17-year-old from a little pit village in the northeast. Didn't know anybody who was in the military, didn't know anyone in the army, but I was looking for something exciting. So I did that, I was really excited, and did that for a few years. And then when we came back to the UK, I just used that experience to move into supply chain, which is what I've done for so long, but also gained my teaching qualifications alongside. So I just always enjoy being busy and doing new things, and don't like to feel stale, although I do like to feel comfortable.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't like living life on the edge.
Yeah.
I don't get, that doesn't really do it for me. I like to feel comfortable, but I do like to experience new things all the time.
Yes. Oh, I like that. And so where do you think you find your strength?
I'm not sure. I think you don't really know what strength you've got until things happen to you, do you? You don't know what inner strength's there.
Yes.
It's easy to think that you don't have any strength and that you're just firefighting all the time. But it's only when you reflect back and you sort of think, if I saw somebody else dealing with that situation, I would really admire them for it.
Yes.
Whereas when it's you just think, oh, I'm just going through life the best that I can.
Yes.
I find other people's stories fascinating.
Yes.
And I can see that in them. I don't really see it in myself. It's just plodding on, I suppose, from my point of view. But I really admire other people's stories, especially other women's stories, I think. Really inspirational. But I see in them that they don't see the strength in themselves.
Really? Yes.
Yeah.
So
And you've
true.
got to sort of say,
Yes, so true.
wow,
That's why we
you did that.
when we do that to each other, we can really help to reflect.
Yes.
And I want to thank you for sharing your story, because it is very inspiring and very magical, and we can see how we can see a lot of lesson and a lot of admiration from what you've shared. So thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you.
We're going to carry on with our conversations and see if we've got some questions. There'll be all the details, links to the video for the NeuroNorth Forum, and to connect with Jacky. Wonderful.